There has been one lesson that I have forgotten time after time after time. One lesson that makes improving so much easier. It is so simple, yet so many people continue to throw it out like it's nothing. This is a very small lesson.
Yeah, that's it. It's just small.
Every time that I would slow down in my self-improvement progress, I would later realize that I was trying to do too much at a time.
Every day I would go from 0 to 100. The day before, let's say I wasted all of my time. Somehow I would convince myself today was gonna be the polar opposite. And not only today, but all the days following it. Sure, I'd have days where I'd work on videos all day, but those days are inconsistent and driven by passion. What about all of these days where I don't have those things? You are here because you want to improve yourself. You want to learn this lesson and gain from it. So don't forget this video, and more importantly, don't forget this lesson like I have.
Something important that I pointed out in my experience is that I would try to go all out or nothing. I saw it as black and white when most things aren't like that.
We have to reinforce this idea that we aren't superhumans or super soldiers that can just change our lives 180 on a whim. We are sorry. We make so many mistakes. We suck, okay? And when we understand that we're not super soldiers, when we understand this, we're actually able to enjoy the progress we're making, even if it's not as fast as we would want it to be.
When we think we're some sort of hero, we end up just demoralizing ourselves by failing at goals that we cannot achieve. This isn't to say that big goals aren't good, but when you don't give yourself enough time to achieve them, that's when they just become impossible. You can't lift 1,000 pounds in 2 weeks from going to the gym. So let's kind of just better envision what I'm talking about. Let's use some real examples we can apply to ourselves. Once we do this, we can talk about what starting small actually looks like.
So I had the goal to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year or the year prior. I can't really remember at this point. And I was feeling good, you know? I just set an ambitious goal, big number, 10,000. Everybody says set ambitious goals. But I realize now why what I did was a mistake, both the goal and also how I got there.
The goal was a mistake because I was focusing more on the number, the subscriber count, rather than the person that I wanted to become. And more specifically for this video, the reason I went about it wrong, or how I went about it wrong, is I set my standard for success very high.
My mindset, even if it wasn't on paper, or I didn't say it out loud, was if I don't change immediately, I'm failing somehow.
But that's just super unreasonable. If you want to become this insanely productive person who uses all their time to their advantage, you can't expect to become that in just a few months. When you see yourself make all of these mistakes, don't make yourself feel like a complete failure. We're all going to slip up in some area, right? And to expect to be perfect is to guarantee your own failure.
Instead of tricking yourself by making these really big, ambitious goals, making yourself think that you're making progress, show yourself you are by making tiny steps in the right direction. Now let's start talking about starting small. It seems pretty, self-explanatory, but since I keep forgetting about it, let's make it more concrete.
Let's say you want to become a really good student in any field, right? Starting small could look like building some good habits such as consistent study and doing work at certain times, right? These habits could just be like looking over your notes for 15 minutes every day at a certain time. Then you keep that for a week. And then maybe after a couple weeks, you do 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And then you do that for a couple weeks. And then 45. Couple weeks, an hour, and beyond, right? Now let's say you reach a good point. You're studying an hour and a half every day. That doesn't mean you'll stay at that level forever, right? If you stop studying or if you start taking it easy, you can kind of revert to who you used to be. And this isn't some fear-mongering tactic, but there's times where I would do YouTube a couple hours every day, or at least semi-consistently like that, and then I'd take a break or I'd slow it down or I'd stop. And then I try to come back at that same level. That's something I used to struggle with. I would think that I'm still at that level. You have to be kind of understanding that you do regress and progress in certain areas. You can't study for 3 hours straight when you haven't done it in a couple months. Or at least you can't become consistent at doing it again after a few days of doing it. And it's important to understand that because if you think, okay, my lifestyle's changed. Past 3 months, I haven't read. I've been not slacking, but I've just been chilling, right? And then you come back and immediately say, okay, I am capable of reading 3 hours every single day, even when I don't want to, even when there might be more fun things to do. It's going to be hard to do that, right? So if you don't achieve that, you might see yourself differently. You might be like, well, maybe I can't do these things, or maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, because you still see yourself at that same version. You still think that you can do these things. When you come back to something after a while of doing it, you still need to start it small, right? You can have a quicker expansion speed or rate or whatever, right? You don't have to take 5 months to get to, an expert level again. You can be like, okay, I'm starting off easy for a week, and then next week I'm going to intermediate, and then next week I'll be back to where I was or whatever. You still have to start small, but it can be less time to get to where you were before.
Now let's put this whole video into one package, one small package. The first thing, you aren't a super soldier, okay? We're not superhumans. We do not change in one day, in 1 week, in 1 month, right? Change is slow, improvement is slow. You need to expect failure and you also need to accept it. And when you start something back up that you've done before, let's say playing football, or let's say chess, right? You'll be better than most people. Let's say you started here, right? When you come back, you'll be here, but you used to be here and you can't expect to be up here still. When you restart something, you need to start small. I know it sounds like, oh, I've done this before, I can just kind of run to the finish line already, right? But you need to be patient. Although you don't have to start as small, right? You can start at a normal level and then speed it up, right? You don't need to be here for 6 months for something that can take 2 weeks for you to get back at. I think self-improvement as a whole just kind of has a big mental game, right? One that has messed me up a little bit. Not like I hate myself or anything, but when you do something good for a while and then you mess up, you can kind of forget that that's part of the plan. And that's something that I have. I was doing really good at one point and then I kind of fell off of it. And then every time I try to go really good at it again, I fail at some point, which is to be expected, like I said, if you remember a little bit ago. And I forget that. I forget that starting small means it takes a lot of time. It means that you're going to fail. It means that, it's not going to go exactly the way you want it to go. And you have to accept that. You have to learn that that's okay. So don't psych yourself out. Don't think, oh, no, I'm trying to be this new person that's like completely different than who I am right now, and I'm not doing that right now. It's like, well, yeah, you're not him yet. You have to be patient with your progress. That's it. That's all I got. If you'd like to learn how to be saved, I have a video over here, I think. If you'd like to learn how to start self-improvement, I have a video over here. Thanks for watching. Praise God.